Holla, holla, holla. What's up, boys and girls? We are back at it, and it is time to rumble. Are you ready to rumble? One simple question, but can you answer it honestly? Look in the mirror and tell me, because we're getting right into it. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm amped up. I hope that you are as well, because this one is an absolute doozy. As you can see, fewer segments here, but obviously, minutes-wise, this is one of the longest shows that we have had that I could remember. Maybe even since WrestleMania, but probably even longer than that. Obviously, having two Battle Royale matches will do that, but let's start at the start, so to speak. Here, pre-show match. We're in Milwaukee, the County Stadium, all right? And we're getting a little crazy right off the bat in the pre-show. We got four of our young up-and-coming talents. They've been in the background on TV, working night in, night out, and they finally get a match of their own. And obviously, Scott Hall goes over, and looking at it now, it seems to have made the most sense. Obviously, I got a little taste of how good Scott Hall could do in this type of situation, for lack of a better term. And he more than rose to the occasion yet again. Pillman has not been on the roster nearly as long as Scott Hall or Owen Hart, even Rick Martel, who are all kind of in my first batch of free agents, so to speak. Brian Pillman kind of came like a few months ago. Regardless, Pillman, Owen, even Martel slightly, they need to be bolstered up slightly more, but we have a lot of time before we'll really need to draw on them to be, top performers, so to speak. And that's not trying to put them down so much, as just a reality. This roster that we have at this point in time, honestly, is arguably, the best that we have had. And I think that's pretty much unanimous, and could potentially even rival some of the best talent rosters that have happened in real life. Then we are on to a tag fatal four-way. This, I felt like, was kind of just bring your child to work day, okay? And hear me out here. It's kind of a far-fetched, but even though this monster tag doesn't quite fit in with these guys, it's kind of indicative of the direction in which wrestling went. I'm starting to lose my metaphor here, but we got the younger crop, the Steiners, Power and Pain, and then we have these two established, just all-out workers and psychologists. Obviously, Rock and Roll and Midnight would kind of be called on to hold this match together, while Power and Pain and the Steiner brothers would get to do all the cool spots. They're the new kids on the block, so to speak. They get to do the cool stuff to get over. Then Midnight gets to sell. Rock and Roll gets to sell. Midnight gets to pull off the dastardly tactics and make it look like they're going to steal it at the last second. But the most over tag in the room ultimately gets the victory. Rock and Roll takes it home in a pretty good pre-show match, and I would have to agree. I think this would be a fun one to watch, even despite the fact that the Steiners are early in their career and the fact that the Powers of Pain are, pretty early in their development, especially John Tenta. And but it is what it is. And again, we don't need to rush them into their spot. We can kind of let them really steep in the talent pool that we have and soak up all that they have to offer as far as in-ring stats and the such. So now we are finally moving into the main show, and here the Blade Runners, who have pretty much been on a hot streak as of recently and beat the Hart Foundation on Saturday night's main event. Now they are cutting a promo because they will be facing the tag champs, the Fabulous Freebirds, for the title. Freebirds. Easy for me to say, but before we get there, we got a Women's Royal Rumble. And let's see what the women had to bring. 59 rating. Honestly, you come to expect this. However, Jackie Sato cracked her tailbone. Very, very, it's kind of surprising. This talent roster, the women's division, is one of the safest. Not all of them have psychology to where I would want it, at where this could peak. Okay, and I know that's kind of cryptic, but their psychology is fine for now. In fact, it's great for now. Psychology has never been an issue, but if this division is to ever take off quite the way that it is in wrestling today, it will need to eventually, we're going to need more players whose psychology is one of their strong suits. But besides the point, safety, I'm pretty sure nearly every woman on the roster has safety in the 90s, which is that's a great rating for nearly anything. But whatever. She was someone who was a great utility player, but if she's out, I don't think it will affect the path that we wanted to take originally. So there's that. It could have been worse, so to speak. So I'm not gonna, get on my soapbox too much about it. We had some debuts here as well. Takahashi and then Kumi both debuted and average for that old school face, but apparently Kumi is just great at her gimmick, so to speak. But on to the bigger story. Obviously, this was I guess it's not quite obvious. This was a 20 women Royal Rumble. They said it was terrible wrestling. I would beg to differ. I would imagine that every wrestler in this women's division would be great. Non-existent crowd heat. I could see that, honestly. And that's just me being forthright. But let's get on to it. Nagayu, Wendy Richter, Jaguar, and were those the four? Oh, and then Kong were a part of the final four, with Nagayu being the final elimination. AJ Kong goes over, and she has the most eliminations. The writing's on the wall, folks. Love it or leave it. Get used to it, because I feel like this is kind of a big thing that I'm trying to build to. And I don't think it will pay off at this Royal Rumble, but I think in the future this will be the seeds planted where you will be able to go back and look definitively at this match and say this was where things changed. Yes, correct tailbone. I don't know how long she'll be out with that, but that's kind of a killer. And then we are on to the tag match where, damn, both the Blade Runners and the Fabulous Freebirds absolutely kill it. And the Blade Runners defeat the Fabulous Freebirds to end their illustrious title reign. And this is a way to put over both Sting and the Ultimate Warrior in a huge way on a Big Four pay-per-view. And it had to be done. My intention when I gave the Fabulous Freebirds the title honestly changed based on how effing flippin' good they were as champs. Did not expect Terry Gordy to be so great, and obviously excellent chemistry will do that to most tag teams, to where, you know, they might have, if they were decent before, once they get that excellent chemistry, that 100 chemistry, you're really going to see the benefits of that. And we did. The tag division has never been this good, okay? And while the Blade Runners are champ, it might take a dip, but I think now we're back into the development stages. The Fabulous Freebirds, they were the honeymoon in Cabo, so to speak. But honey, we got to pack it up and we got to go home eventually. The Blade Runners are home, and we got to get Sting over. We got to get Warrior over. They are the lifeblood, okay? And I could be wrong here, and Warrior could be just kind of a time suck, so to speak. But here, we're starting to see the fruits of our labor, and even though the payoff is ever so minute, the pay is coming, okay? We are getting incremental benefits, so I'll take what I can get. Plus, the Blade Runners, in my mind, and it is because of the way that their careers splintered, but it's one of those tag teams where it's like, what if? And I always thought it would be cool to, give them the titles and really cement them as a tag in my sim. And I think they really make for an interesting team. Obviously, Sting, and this is kind of the reverse. I guess not so much, but Sting has eclipsed Warrior and has found more success than the Warrior, and definitely in due part to Warrior's leg injury, which I think really quelled his in-ring development, which is definitely where he needed it most, and Sting just was able to just get crazy good at everything super quickly. Nonetheless, I feel like they needed a title, and it made more sense to try to kill these two birds with one stone than try a different avenue. Also, full disclosure, Terry Gordy's contract is running out. This is going to be the last pay-per-view we see of him for a while. Definitely unfortunate because their run was undisputed. Perhaps one of the very, very best. But we will definitely be trying to get him back as soon as possible to try to get a rematch, perhaps, if the Blade Runners hold on to the titles that long. Who knows? But again, they had, I think, undisputed one of the best tag title reigns I've booked. Now it's time to pass the torch, so to speak, and Sting and Warrior definitely could use it. Then we are on to a Hulk Hogan promo, and he crushes it unlike anyone else. He's one of the very best, no doubt about it, and I know that everyone's got to be super happy to see another Hulk Hogan promo, because he is in another marquee feud, and that big feud is with Big Van Vader. And the crux of this feud was Vader attacked Hogan. Obviously, he was upset over the main event outcome of Saturday night's main event that happened earlier in January, where Hulk Hogan won the number 30 spot. Vader attacks him on TV. Next week, Hogan, he challenges him, and then finally Heenan, obviously the $1 Million Inc. Heenan connection, he says, look, Vader will face you, but you got to give him a chance at that number 30 entrance if he wins. And Hogan said, the heck with it, I'll do it. He's fairly confident that he can win from any position, and he doesn't feel like he needs that leg up on the opposition, and he also wants a piece of Vader, so it was a win-win for him. Well, except he did not win the match, because it was a superb wrestling bout with great heat, and Vader takes it home with a powerbomb after a distraction from The Undertaker. The Undertaker has been the bane to Hulk's existence, aka the bane to Hulk's Batman. This one's getting crazy, and what a heck of a freaking rating for this. Obviously, the WCW feud that these guys had was inspiration for this, not to mention that they stylistically, fit in really well with each other, in my opinion at least. I think Vader fits the mold of what you expect in a Hulk Hogan crux, like villain or arch nemesis. Taker does as well, and he adds a very nice wrinkle to this match. Is he a part of the $1 Million Incorporated? We don't know for sure yet, but he has been helping members of the $1 Million Inc. for countless different matches. So it's not countless. So I would say probably a couple, 3 at the most. So hyperbole again. But so what is his involvement, and why does he continue to kind of single out Hogan? This also was a huge victory for Vader. And again, sort of like what we did with that Blade Runners match, I felt like it needed to be done. Obviously, Hogan, he was in a good spot coming in. Vader, not as high as we had seen him perform in the past. So I think this will definitely benefit him. And I think it has story implications moving forward, to which we can build on pretty rock solid. And altogether, this exceeded expectations, honestly. 97, I honestly do think that the first time these guys would touch, even in 89, especially if Vader was getting built up the way that he had been built, he's a king of the ring, okay? And for him to beat a former WWF champion now, I think that this is a coronation of sorts. This is huge. This is just really capping off this WrestleMania to WrestleMania year for him, this in-company year. It's been fantastic for him. Hogan, definitely going to have to do some soul-searching after this match and get all of his ducks in a row, because things are starting to really kind of sink for him, and Taker's definitely got to be a big reason for that. So definitely something exciting to move forward with as far, and also a definitive moment for Vader. Here we have Harley Race, the usually good sticksman, but he, in 80, he is now calling his shot a la Babe Ruth, saying, tonight is the night that I take that gold away from Misawa. It's more like a Joe Namath guarantee, but nonetheless, you get the point. Enough sports references. Harley Race is saying that he is going to take Misawa's title, and he's in a long line of people who have said the very same thing and hopefully he will make even in the end of Misawa's title reign, or just another tally, will continue to keep his very high standards just as high, because Misawa's been on an absolute tear. Let's check it out. 88. Okay, so a slight dip from what we had seen from Misawa, but his IC title reign remains intact. Harley, I think we said it's off his game. Okay, so we're not starting to see any physical limitations yet, which is a good sign, because he is 45, and I am really hoping that the day never comes where he just can't kill it in the ring. And he deserves this, and he honestly does deserve a title at some point, and I'm going to have to figure out something to give him the appreciation and the recognition that he deserves. But I must say, much like if Terry Gordy was staying, they would have kept the titles, okay? Misawa, he's here. He's locked down long term, ladies and gentlemen. And his title reign is still peaking. And hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come. I don't think it is, because Misawa's in-ring performance continues to climb, which is definitely, that's good news. But to the bigger point, his title reign has not, it's elevated the title and himself. It's really been the best of both worlds. It really set out to accomplish everything possible that I could have wanted out of it. So to take it off of him now, I just felt like was premature, when we could continue to really milk this for the sweet juices that Misawa and the Tiger Driver and that heart of a champion can give for the WWF. And I hope you have a juicy visual in your mind after hearing that, because I know I sure do. Then we're going to move on. We got another promo, and this is going to have the likes of some of the very best. And Piper is so good that he just creates catchphrases during his promos. It's the Royal Rumble promo. We got Piper, we got Roberts, we got Adonis, we got Hogan, we got Vader. And obviously Vader will be taking that number 30 entry, and Jake will be number 1. So Adonis, Hogan, and Piper, somewhere in between. Let's get straight to it for the Rumble. Fingers crossed on this one, people, because you just never know what you're going to get from the Royal Rumble sometimes. This one's packed with talent, but again, you just never know what you're going to get. It's much like a box of chocolates, and whoa, I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you saw it on my screen, however, it did skip by the Royal Rumble, but I will show you on the show recap. That was completely unintentional, and I do apologize for that. But we're going to stick with this recording. We're going to keep it going, and we're going to circle back to that Royal Rumble. And full disclosure, I think it'll make it more interesting to do it in the long run. But, maybe that's just me. So here, and again, I do apologize. We have a promo between Randy Savage and DiBiase. Savage and DiBiase have a long, super long history, going the whole way back to King of the Ring 1986. Then we had their most recent match at WrestleMania 4. And here we are, 9 months later at the Royal Rumble, and they're going to go at it uno Moss. And this one is for the strap. But it's not just any match. It's a ladder match. And both players came to play without a shadow of a doubt. And Savage defends successfully, and he makes it number 9. And DiBiase really came out to play with this one. Savage very close behind, nipping on his heels. These two just, they don't disappoint. And DiBiase has been holding down the mantle as the top heel in the biz for quite a while. I'm sure Savage had wanted to probably tear his head off by this point. Well, now he finally gets it, and we get a dramatic conclusion to this trilogy, perhaps. I'm sure they've probably had 3 before this, but nonetheless, this is kind of the third main event, I believe, although I could be wrong on that. Nonetheless, it's another great match in Savage's title reign and in their storied rivalry. And now we're going to get to the show finish, and hopefully this will show who won the Royal Rumble. And obviously I'll try to recall some of those other match specifications that you can set. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. And it didn't disappoint. 87 is about as good a rating as you can get. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, y'all, won the Royal Rumble. And I know some of you have to be wondering now, what is going on? He came here on a business trip. He came to defend that NWA title. He saw Dusty Rhodes. He thought he'd be on his way out. But he had some tricks up his sleeves. Perhaps he's going to be here a little bit longer than we had anticipated. In fact, I think he just booked his ticket to WrestleMania in the main event with the WWF champion. Right now it's Randy Savage, but that could very well change between here and then. Who knows? And from the best of my recollection, and again, and I do have to apologize for skipping past that. Perhaps you saw it, but I would highly doubt it. There was something wrong with the program there where it didn't quite, it kind of stuttered. So I ended up clicking twice, and it just skipped right by it. Nonetheless, some of the match specifications in which I set, and definitely what I was kind of going for in my mind. Vader and Hogan tie for most eliminations this one. Hogan gets in medium to later on, maybe 2018, somewhere around there, and he's kind of tossing out villains every once in a while. Then Vader's obviously 30th. By then, I want there to kind of be, a full ring. Vader comes in, throws out 5 to 6 guys, and leaves us with maybe 5, 6, or just the final 4. As for that, the final 4 in my books were Ric Flair, Vader, Steamboat, and Flair, Steamboat, Vader, and Bret Hart also was a part of that. Pretty surprising, and it might have made more sense to go Piper, Jake. Nonetheless, I wanted to give one of the younger guys something, and I felt like, this is cool. I always kind of like in the Fatal 4, or the last 4 rather, when it could be anyone, and one of them is like, oh man, if they pull the trigger on any one of these, it would kind of be a bold move, and would definitely be very, very interesting. And I think you could easily make an argument for Steamboat no doubt. Flair, no doubt. I mean, these are proven, tried and true products that I'm talking about with those two. But Vader, we've seen that in this sim. It was phenomenal. And, I think, if you were viewing that, it would make perfect sense why they would want to go back to that. And the story of how Vader kind of, was able to, I mean, I wouldn't say he weaseled his way into that situation, but the brain definitely weaseled him into a very strong, powerful position. And then Brett, who has also been really doing well, he's definitely an up-and-comer and would be, first in line, I think, for one of the young heels, promising heels, technicians. And while it's Savage now, I mean, you can only really imagine with who it is now. If Savage were to retain the whole way to WrestleMania, we've seen Brett face Savage, I think. I'm not sure for the title on a pay-per-view, but perhaps on TV. I mean, they would put on an absolute masterclass. I have no doubt about that. It would be tremendous. But Flair is, he's the interesting pick. He's the sexy pick. He's the nature boy. I mean, he's got the promos to send it. He's got the in-game or in-ring skills to just stay step for step with Savage. And there's that intrigue because it's like, here's this NWA guy in the WWF, and he just won their Royal Rumble, and now he's going to main event their biggest show. Intrigue, I think so. That's definitely the selling point moving forward, but we have tons more to work with from here, the whole road to WrestleMania. So, thank y'all for joining me. I hope that you did enjoy. And again, I'm sorry for the little snafu. Hopefully my explanation more than made up for it. But if not, comment down below and I can answer any question that you might want answered. Also, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Like it and subscribe to the channel to be the first to see new stuff that drops. And I will catch you on the flippity flute.